we?
What's up? We're at the movies.
What are we watching?
Don't worry.
Is that what it is?
I thought so. That's what it sounded like.
Oh yeah, we're watching Don't Worry.
Hell yeah.
We're watching that movie right there. One. Okay. Are you excited?
You could say I'm worried.
Don't. We're here to get some nuggies, some popcorn. We didn't eat yet, but you know what we're gonna do? Eat. But it doesn't seem that they have nuggies, does it? So we might have to settle with pizza.
Might have to settle for the movie pizza.
We might have to settle.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to go. Let's go. Dude, look where we go.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna like pre-game piss.
He's going to pregame pit?
Yeah.
Have fun.
I'm gonna do that.
Have fun.
Okay. Yeah.
The king has returned.
Oh, sheesh.
How was it?
It was, it's like a 9 out of 10 piss. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's quality.
Yeah.
We're still waiting.
Yeah.
Guess what? What did I just order?
Mod sticks. I actually recorded my own.
Yeah, but guess what this guy told me?
What?
He's gonna deliver the sticks to our theater.
What?
Yeah.
Bro, the service here is popping.
Regal Capillet Commons.
Dang.
10 out of 10.
Unbeaten service. Top of the line. Whoa, dude.
Just finished up.
Yo,
Time
that was
for
crazy.
Time for the post-movie pitch.
Hell yeah.
Let's go get it.
Yeah.
Just finished the post-movie piss. Time to go do the review. For one of the first times, it's bright outside. 86 degrees. You can see the actual movie theater in brightness. All right. It was a killer.
It was.
But if you haven't noticed, we might be dressed a little different today. You know? Have you noticed?
I have. You look dashing.
You look good.
Oh my god, thanks.
Handsome.
Wow.
So, the channel will be having some updates soon. With that, I mean, we will now split the channel into, in one video, the non-spoiler version and the spoiler version. First will always be the non-spoilers for those that want to see how the movie is without knowing everything. And then of course the spoilers for those who've already seen it and would like some extra words to describe how it was or show to their friends or, you know, just for their own looks. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right.
All right.
What'd you think with
Wow.
the non-spoilers?
Okay. Yeah. So, the scene, it takes place in the 50s. An awesome 50s soundtrack. It kind of takes you back to a day and age where there's like, I don't know, like gender roles. You know, the guys are going off to work and all the gals are staying at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, to sum it up, it was a crazy movie, lots of twists. You kind of get that vibe from the trailer that something's going on, but you don't know what's going on.
Is there any movie you would compare it to?
Ooh, yeah, like our Lamb movie. We were talking about that.
Yeah, there were twists to Lamb.
Yeah, so yeah, you know something weird's going on, and things start unraveling. It was a lot of fun. Kept us on the edge of our seat.
And it was a long movie. You didn't know when the end actually was until it came.
Right, yeah. I thought it was going to be over several times, and it kept going, and it
worked.
being
It
awesome,
wasn't
yeah.
like being dragged out. It's not like, oh, it's still going. It was good. It kept going.
Yeah, exactly.
So what would you rate it? I guess out of 10.
Ooh.
Out of 10.
Out of 10, okay. I'll do simple and then complicated.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
out of 10, probably. Oh man, I'm gonna go 8.5. 8.5 and non-standard review. It's gonna be an Amazon package that comes early.
Oh.
It's unexpected, but super welcome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I could agree with everything. There was twists, turns, other things, I guess.
Yeah.
I would probably rate it. Yeah, this is one of the higher movies, one of the better movies we've seen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The acting was good. The scenes were all good. The love, sex, cooking, music, dancing were all good. I would give it probably a 9 out of 10, a solid 9.
Nice.
It was good. It was really good. The music was great. I just love the music. If you love 50s music or 50s vibes, it's a really good movie to watch. It's pretty accurate actually, based on the time frame. That was a good analogy you did.
Yeah. I had to one up the avocado thing. That was good.
Yeah, I would probably have to rate it like that time when you go to Lowe's for wooden planks, but they're not warped. They're all straight.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling.
It's a great feeling. And they're on sale, so I mean,
wow.
You can't break it.
Nice.
Now to the spoilers. Ooh, man. Time for the spoilers.
Yeah.
Warning, there will be spoilers.
That's why it's the spoiler section.
So if you don't want spoilers, don't watch past this part.
Don't do it.
To start, at the beginning of the movies, we have notes here because it was a lot and we wrote down a lot. But, so you start off in this 50s vibe, like centralized suburban type town. The husband goes to work. His name's Jack. The wife's Alice. He gets this job at what could seem to be a nuclear facility or some top secret Area 51 type shit, because they're in the desert, they're in the middle of nowhere, and these guys just drive into the middle of the desert and go to work. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I got the vibe like it was like middle of nowhere, Nevada.
Yeah,
so.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So throughout the beginning, before anything really gets discovered, really happens, the wife Alice starts getting these random flashes of not necessarily reality, but flashes of different scenes. Like there's one of her just underwater, one of just random dancers, uniformity type things, and you don't really know what's going on, but you can get kind of a mysterious, not necessarily horror, but dramatic vibe to it. Yeah,
exactly.
And then what's next?
Further up, we have Margaret, and she was the first lady that like seems to be catching on to what's really going on, and nobody knows yet. But Margaret, she has some idea, and she knows something fishy's going on, and she's not buying this like lie that the guys are selling. And so she starts, the first time she kind of freaks out is at the party, and she's trying to tell everybody that everything's all a lie and that they're in a simulation, and nobody's really buying it, and they think she's kind of crazy, and they take her away, and that's all you kind of hear from that. And Alice goes to find her, and they're trying to silence her, basically. They're trying to have her take pills. Margaret isn't buying it, and Alice is just wanting to help her friend, but she doesn't get to know what's going through her head.
Hey everybody, since I'm an idiot, I actually forgot to hit record, or the recording got lost somewhere. I don't know what happened, but this next scene that we discussed was actually pretty important, so I'm just going to go through it with you after editing. I figured it out. So Alice likes to go shopping with her friends a lot, but one day she decides normally takes the trolley to go. She didn't go with her friends shopping. She stayed on the trolley all the way basically to the end of the route. And on this trolley, she actually saw what looked like a plane to be crashing. And when you saw the plane crashing, it looked like it kind of like warped through a different dimension or a different plane. It kind of did like a ripple type style. So after this, she saw the plane crash. She told the bus driver to stop and take her there. And the bus driver said, "Nah, we don't go that way." So she was like, "Whatever, I'll just go by myself." So she went to the plane crash, but actually never saw a crash. What she found was basically a dome type building on top of the hill in what they call the HQ, the headquarters. So she walked all the way up to the top and found just a glass dome, basically. Looked at it, it was a reflection of her. She walked up to it and put her hands on it. She saw a basically reality, and her neck kind of snapped back, and then boom, she woke up in her bed.
So she wakes up at home, her husband gets home, Jack gets home, he's making dinner. She's like, "How long have I been asleep?" He's been like hours since he's gotten home. And that's pretty much it. The day goes on, the days go on. She thinks she's like seeing some visions every now and then. She thinks she's getting crazy or whatever, and then something crazy happens.
Yeah, so Alice is in one of her dance classes, and these dance classes, it kind of seems like they're trying to maintain control over the women through this dance class and through some other things. Yeah, it's like being uniformity, like being part of the group. They're
Pretty
kind of
monotonous.
Like, yeah. So Yeah, but anyways, during this class, in the glass, she sees not a reflection of herself, but a reflection of Margaret, who, you know, is the one who kind of knows what's actually going on. And she starts banging her head against the glass, and it's a really intense scene. She just keeps banging her head against the glass, and Alice is freaking out while everybody's there, and Alice screams, and then she kind of returns to reality. Everybody's looking at her like, what's wrong with you? And Alice is kind of freaking out, and she knows something's wrong with Margaret. So she runs back, she runs out of there, runs back home to find Margaret standing on top of a roof with a knife. And Alice is saying, you know, don't do anything with a knife. Margaret puts it up to her throat, slits her throat, falls off the roof. Alice is like, holy smoke. She goes up to help her friend. She's like distraught. And people in red jumpsuits come out of nowhere, grab Alice, pull her away before she can really see what, you know, anything more of what happens. But it's very clear that Margaret slit her own throat and killed herself.
And Margaret knew something was up.
Yeah.
And now Alice knows something's fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
So she's on a hunt to figure it out.
And then she gets home, and Jack is just, everyone, all the men are trying to convince her, even some of the women are trying to convince Alice that that's not really what she saw, that she's just going crazy.
The doctor?
Yeah, the doctor. The doctor is like a huge part of that. Man, the doctor is like...
trying to give her pills.
Yeah.
Tell her it's just when you see things, when you're in distress or you see an emotional event happen, such as a death, like traumatic events, and you're emotional about it, then you can distort your memories and everything like that. He's like, take these pills and all.
Yeah. Dude, the doctor was like Frank's right-hand man, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The doctor was, you can tell from the beginning, the doctor is pretty messed up.
Yeah. It's
But-
a creepy looking guy.
After Margaret kills herself, there's a couple scenes that kind of play along with the plot, but we're not going to get into because the next main scene is a dinner. So Frank is the main creator, the antagonist of the whole thing, and he built the land, he built the projects and everything like that where everybody's living, and so the whole time Alice is like, she knows there's something up. Jack's, her husband's telling her there's nothing, and then at dinner she invites all her friends over and invites Frank and his wife over, and Frank, during one of the scenes in the kitchen, comes up to her and he's like, I know you know, and you're right, something's up, and I hope you keep pushing to find out what it is. And it's kind of like teasing with her. And so Alice tries to tell everybody at the table Frank's lying, he's being an asshole, which it seems like Frank was just, you know, playing with her to try to make her seem crazy to all the other people, to try to kick her out of the world, out of the area, out of the world as well.
Yeah, but Alice isn't taking it. She's fighting back. They're seated across from the table from each other. Everyone else is kind of just trying to stay silent, not dig in too much. They're kind of like sheep almost. They're just buying what they're, you know, getting fed to them. But Alice is trying to convince everyone of what's going on. And she's telling all these similarities. Like, people went to the same honeymoon at the same place. They met in the same fashion. They're from the same place. And they're all just buying it as coincidences. But Alice is like, no, it's not a coincidence. You know, she's trying to tell them it's all made up.
And then after the women are like, you're crazy, we're not doing this, Frank's wife leaves. Alice, Jack's wife, you know, the main character here, she tells Jack after everybody leaves, I love you, I'm happy with just you no matter where we are, and I want to leave tonight, we're gonna leave. And Jack's like, okay. So she packs all her things and they get in the car, and then she's like, let's go, and Jack's like, I'm sorry, I'm not leaving. And the same red people that came and took Margaret away after she killed herself come and rip Alice out of the car. Yeah. They take her to a room, the doctor's in the room with them, and put on these like shocking things, basically to shock her to the point where she doesn't remember anything, her memory's all fuzzy. She didn't go outside. She's basically being brainwashed and tortured to the point of alternating her reality of what she saw.
And like during that scene, we get a brief glimpse of her past life. And it's crazy. It cuts to a scene, she's a nurse in a hospital, and the scene is obviously way different than the 50s.
It's modern.
Scene.
It's 2020. She has an iPhone. 2022, she has an iPhone. She's a nurse at a hospital. They're doing surgery. you know, in New York it seems.
Yeah,
or,
somewhere high up. It's a real dreary scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She goes home. She's working 30 hours. She's tired. She wants to go to bed. And after she goes to bed, it comes back to the 50s.
So in that vision, that like past reality that Alice is living, you get to see Jack in it too, and they were together. They're living together, but Jack looks totally different than he does in the 50s. In the 50s, he's this, you know, super handsome guy who's always dressed really neat, clean shaven. But in reality, he's like, I don't know, super long.
He looks
hair.
like a hobo.
Yeah, he does not look good. Not nearly as good as he does in the simulation.
No, not nearly as good as you either.
Oh my gosh, thanks. Right
Yeah.
back at you. So sweet. Okay. But anyways, yeah, so you kind of get the feeling that he's really a loser and just not at all the confident guy that he is.
He doesn't have a job. Whenever Alice comes home, he's like, she just worked a 30-hour shift. She comes home, he's awake on the computer, and he's like, I'm hungry. She's like, why didn't you eat? And he's like, well, I tried to text you, see what you wanted, and you didn't answer, so I didn't get anything. And she's like, I obviously don't have my phone in the surgery room, in the OR room. And he's like, well, that would have been good to know. Like, this guy's an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
He's a complete douche. And so you just get the vibe that he's a real piece of shit. And then, so after it goes back, after she, you know, falls asleep and comes back to the 50s, at this point, she comes back to the town after she was tortured. Her mind's been changed. Everything's okay, and they basically bring her back to reality. She goes inside, and they're listening to music, and Jack's singing a song that triggers her mind.
Yeah.
And she remembers a time back to when she touched the headquarters, the export site, that it actually brought her back to real life, back to the present, when she was the nurse and had a life and worked 30-hour shifts, but she enjoyed it. And then she realized whenever Jack kept singing that song, it triggered her memory more and more. She knew actually what was happening. He was holding her basically hostage to be his wife in this game.
Yeah, she starts freaking out, and Jack is like holding on to her, and he's trying to convince her that, you know, he did it for her own good, and that she actually really loves this life, and that he's working for her, and that's why he has to leave every day, is just to work in the real world to sustain their life together. And it seems like he almost convinces her that, like, this is a good life and they should stay this way. But he's like clinging on to her, and he's like holding tighter and tighter onto her, and she's like saying she can't breathe. And it's like him grasping at this life that he wants to live, and she just doesn't want it. He's so desperate for it.
Yeah, and so as he's basically strangling her from the waist, she's flailing around trying to find anything to stop him, and she grabs a whiskey glass and smacks his head and kills him.
Crazy. Good swing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good power. And
Good
so
form.
she kills him, and then she wakes up. She like passed out, she wakes up, and her friend is there. I don't remember her friend's name.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Shoot, I don't remember her friend's name.
Yeah,
She's
next door neighbor, kind of her best friend.
best friend.
Yeah.
And she's like, what'd you do? And then she's like, I killed him. And this is the lady that Alice would complain to. She told her she saw things, she knew things were going on, and her friend was like, no, it's not going on, trust me, it's just in your brain, you're crazy. And she's like, I killed him. And so her friend's like, you have to go, they will kill you. They as in Frank, the red men in the red suits. And so she's like, what are you talking about? It's real, everything I told you is true. And then her friend's like, I know, because her friend was just trying to keep her safe and her friend safe. She was trying to keep Alice safe and herself during these times, and lied to her.
Yeah, and she had like bought into that reality, and she actually liked living there. It sounds like because she had kids there, and apparently she lost her kids in the real world, and so she preferred to live in this fake, made-up simulation because she could have her kids there, even though they're fake.
Yeah. And so she admits that she knew it was all fake, and she tells Alice to run. So Alice goes on basically a runaway scene where she finally gets in Jack's car, and she's going back to where she saw the plane crash, back to where she touched the hands, back to where she left. And there's a whole car chase scene. Her car gets stuck. She kills. Well, she doesn't kill. there was a car crash where the two cars were beside her trying to like pit maneuver. She slammed on the brakes, the cars hit each other, and then there was an oncoming car that the doctor
Yeah.
that hit all three of them, and all three of the cars pretty much wrecked and everybody died. But she kept driving. She had to make it to the headquarters, and then behind her was another convoy of like 5 or 6 cars coming her way to try to kill her, because if you kill her in this game, in this world, then you die in real life.
Yeah.
And so she makes it all the way up to the headquarters, but her car gets stuck.
Right. And it's kind of the climax. All these guys in red jumpsuits. It seemed like every guy in the simulation is like trying to fight to keep her contained, keep her from getting out in the real world. Because I mean, if she gets out, maybe they could mess with their simulation. They don't want that their life to be ruined. And so they're all clamoring up this mountain, and she's running, and it's kind of a climax. And she's at the very top. She's right by the simulation, and right as she's about to touch this door and get out in the free world, she's like wrapped around by Jack's arms, and he's like, "Don't leave me." And she's like comforted by him, and for a second she's like wants to stay with him, and she's like just sharing in his embrace. But eventually she kind of lets go of that, and he's not there anymore, and there's just a ton of guys in red suits climbing up the stairs. And as they're about to close in on her, she like puts her hands up against the HQ, which is like how you get out, I guess.
You just put your hands on the glass. Her neck snaps back, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, we hear her breathing. Yeah, so we know she made it out.
And
crazy.
The weird part we had to add to that was, so when you touch the glass, you come out, but perhaps maybe your body lays there in game or something like that, or in the world, because when she did it earlier, she woke back up in her bed in the 50s. But our theory is because Jack, when he left work or when he came back in game, she noticed that she was maybe awake or something like that, so he had to put her back out and then put her back in the game somehow. So we don't really, that's just our theory on it. We don't really know how she got back in, but we think Jack definitely has something to do with it. And another thing is that her body is in the real world, so Jack, whenever he goes to work in the 50s, he actually extracts out of this world into real life and goes and actually works 8, 9, 10 hours, however long he works, to make money, pay rent, because they're just staying in a room basically, and buy food, and just like drips water into her mouth, or like IVs or something for food. And it's pretty kind of gross that she's just like laying there and in a limp vegetable like state, kind of.
Such a stark contrast to this dream paradise that they're living in.
But I think it was a very good kind of turn of events for such a movie. Do you happen to agree?
Yeah, that was incredible. A lot of fun. Definitely worth the watch. A lot of fun.
How many Rotten Tomatoes would you give it?
Oh man, 0, because it was a great movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
I would give it 100 good tomatoes.
Nice.
So,
be freshest.
Any final words? Was it a shoosh-worthy movie?
Oh, absolutely. Big shoosh. At least 5 O's.
5 shoosh.
Shoosh.
Nice.
Very good.
Any final words?
I got nothing. How about you?
Have a great day.
Later, guys.